My fiancé asked me to wait for her right before our wedding, so I vanished. You ever have one of those moments where the world just stops? Not in a peaceful, meditative way, but like the air's been sucked out of the room and you're floating in a vacuum? That happened to me last year, sitting across from my fiancée, Sarah, in our favorite restaurant, the one where I was supposed to finalize our wedding caterer. We had been together for 5 years, engaged for 6 months. Our wedding was in 3. My house was our home. My name was on everything. Hers was on a supplementary credit card. I thought this dinner was the final stretch of a long, exhausting, expensive process. Instead, Sarah swirled her wine, stared at the glass, and said the words that detonated our future. I just think things are moving too fast. I'm not sure I'm ready to commit right now. The universe tilted. I asked hollowly, So you're calling off the wedding? Her hand shot out to cover mine. No, not at all. I just need a pause. I need you to wait until I figure things out. I love you, you know that. I just need to be sure. Can you do that for me? Can you wait? And as if on cue, her friends Ashley and Megan, who had tagged along to help with wedding planning, started nodding. Ashley chimed in. It's totally normal, Ben. A lot of women get cold feet. You just have to give her some space to breathe. The 3 of them looked at me like they were actors in a play, waiting for my line. And in that silence, I realized what was happening. Sarah didn't want to pause. She wanted a safety net. She wanted the ring, the title, the security of me, but also the freedom of being single. She wanted me on a shelf, like a toy she could come back to after she was done playing. And in that airless quiet, a decision clicked into place. Cold. Logical. Final. I smiled. Pulled my hand away. Nodded. Of course, I said. Take all the time you need. I'll wait. Her face lit up like I had just handed her the world. She squeezed my arm. I knew you'd understand. You're the best. Ashley and Megan smiled, smug, satisfied. Their work here was done. The rest of dinner, they planned a girls' trip to Miami, the same weekend our wedding was supposed to happen. They laughed, drank expensive cocktails on my dime, and toasted to Sarah's freedom. I nodded, smiled, and paid. Inside, something in me went very still. That night, I dropped them off, went home to our house, and began dismantling my old life. The exit plan. I wasn't angry. I wasn't heartbroken. I was free. First step was financial. I'm a software developer, and for the past 2 years, I've been working on a side project, an app. Just 3 weeks earlier, it had been acquired by a major tech company. Life-changing money. Sarah knew about it. Looking back, that windfall was probably the spark behind her sudden, cold feet. I called my advisor. Moved the entire sum into trusts and offshore accounts. Untouchable. Next, I canceled her supplementary credit card. Closed the joint account she used for her expenses. Called my lawyer, who drafted papers removing her from the title of the car I had bought her 2 birthdays ago. Then digital. I permanently deleted every social media account. Backed up my contacts, wiped my phone, got a new number. Finally, physical. I packed a single suitcase, not clothes, but hard drives, laptops, and legal documents. Walked through the house one last time. Her makeup on the bathroom counter. Her clothes in the closet. Little trinkets she'd scattered everywhere. A museum exhibit of a life I was finished with. I left one note on the kitchen counter. I'll wait. Then I walked out, drove to the airport, and bought a first-class ticket to Portugal. By the time Sarah woke up the next morning, I was already gone. 6 weeks later, I was living in a quiet coastal town in Portugal. Villa overlooking the sea. Fast internet, good food, new life. The silence was intoxicating. The only person who knew where I was, my brother Dan. He called me once a week to give me the play-by-play of Sarah's meltdown. At first, Sarah bragged that I was being so supportive, giving her space. She and her friends ran up massive tabs on a credit card that had already been canceled. Cue panic when it started declining. She called the bank. Learned it had been canceled by the primary holder, me. She called Dan in hysterics. "What's going on? He's not answering his phone." Dan played dumb. "Maybe you should ask Ben." By the weekend, she realized my phone was disconnected. By Monday, she discovered all my social media had vanished. The campaign began. She texted our mutual friends. "Hey, have you heard from Ben? He's being weird, not answering his phone." By the end of the second week, the messages had grown frantic. She started telling people I was missing. Even tried to file a police report. The cops saw my car was gone, suitcase missing, no signs of foul play. Case closed, voluntary disappearance. Then she went to my house. Walked in with her key, expecting me to be sulking. Instead, she found everything intact, except me, my computers, and that note on the counter. Dan said she called him screaming. "What does this mean?" "I'll wait." "Wait for what?" "Where is he?" His answer? "Sounds like he's just doing exactly what you asked, Sarah." Waiting. Week 3. Financial ruin. The car repossessed. Her parents forced to cover her credit card debt. Ashley and Megan started distancing themselves. Sarah's drama wasn't fun anymore. By week 4, she was a pariah. Our friends whispered. She had fumbled the bag. 3 months in, I was thriving. Consulting remotely, making new friends, even dating casually. Sarah, meanwhile, was unraveling. She'd moved in with Ashley to start fresh. That lasted 2 months before they exploded over unpaid rent. Sarah got kicked out, crawling back to her parents. She finally got a real job, hostess at a chain restaurant, the same place we used to go when we first dated. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Her new narrative? I was a manipulative control freak who abandoned her without cause. But too many people had seen the truth. Too many remembered that dinner. Too many had her frantic texts saved. Dan told me about the night she ran into our old friends at a bar. She tried telling them her sob story. One of my college buddies, Mark, finally snapped. "Sarah, we were all there. You told him to wait. You wanted to pause your engagement so you could party in Miami. He just gave you exactly what you asked for." She broke down in public. Crying, screaming, kicked out of the bar. Ashley and Megan? Gone. Now claiming they warned her. Everyone else? Done with her. She thought she was playing chess. I wasn't playing at all. I flipped the board, walked away. 1 year later. I'm still in Portugal, living in Lisbon now. My consulting business is booming. I've been dating a local architect. It's serious, it's real, and it's everything my old relationship wasn't. I went home for Christmas last year. 2 weeks with family, no drama. I avoided Sarah, but heard plenty. She's still living with her parents, still at the restaurant, still trying to milk sympathy. But the story has become something of a local legend. The girl who asked a ghost to wait. The final, pitiful chapter came 2 months ago. She hired a bargain lawyer to sue me for breach of promise. Claimed I wasted her time, ruined her earning power. My lawyer responded with a notarized affidavit from our wedding planner detailing her request at that dinner. Included the $400 receipt from that night. Mr. My last name has, in fact, honored Ms. her last name's request. He is still waiting. He will continue to wait indefinitely. Case dismissed. And that's really the end. There was no explosive confrontation, no last words. My revenge wasn't shouting or gloating. My revenge was absence. Silence. She wanted to put me on pause. She thought she was in control. But her request, wait for me, was the last decision she ever made for us. And so I did exactly what she asked. I waited. Just not where she thought I would. She's still waiting.